In the heart of a dense forest, a campsite lay untouched and undiscovered. Nestled amidst towering trees and a carpet of obsidian leaves, this secluded haven exudes an air of serenity, punctuated only by the whisper of the wind and the distant call of unseen creatures. A sense of subtle eeriness hangs in the air, like a thin veil over the otherwise tranquil setting. The campsite is a paradox of sorts, a serene sanctuary surrounded by untamed wilderness. It's a place where the line between civilization and nature blurs. The isolation is palpable, almost as if the world beyond the forest has ceased to exist. Yet there's an undeniable charm to this solitude, a certain allure that draws in the adventurous and the curious. Here, under the watchful gaze of ancient oaks and the ever-changing sky, the stage is set. This would serve as a retreat for a group of unsuspecting teenagers, unaware of the secrets it held. As the sun began to set, the laughter and chatter of the teenagers filled the silent woods. A group of young souls, their hearts brimming with anticipation, their minds bursting with the thrill of adventure. They had arrived at the camp, the rustic cabins nestled amongst the whispering trees, a haven of escapade far from the noise of the city. Their laughter echoed through the woods, bouncing off the ancient trees, a melody of youth and excitement. They were oblivious to the world around them, lost in their own bubble of joy and anticipation. The rustling leaves, the creaking branches, the shadows that seemed to move just out of sight, all went unnoticed. They were unaware of the stories that the woods held within its heart, the whispers of the past, the echoes of the forgotten, the secrets that lay hidden beneath the earth. They were yet to discover the eerie events that would soon unfold in the heart of the wilderness. As the darkness fell, so did the curtain hiding the camp's true nature. As the flames from the campfire flickered, the darkness of the night seemed to deepen. The comforting crackle of the fire was soon drowned by the symphony of the night, a cacophony of hoots, howls, and rustling leaves. The woods were alive, teeming with unseen creatures, their nocturnal activities casting an eerie backdrop to the teenagers' first night at camp. Among the group, laughter and chatter started to fade, replaced by an escalating sense of unease. The once charming wilderness now appeared as a murky labyrinth, a playground for the unknown. Their eyes darted towards the woods, trying to pierce the blackness, their minds playing tricks on them. Were those shadows shifting in the periphery, or was it just the flickering firelight playing on the dense foliage? The air around the campfire grew thicker with tension. The jovial tales of the day were replaced by hushed voices and shared glances. A twig snapped in the distance, the sound splitting the silence like a sharp knife. Their hearts pounded in their chests, the rhythm matching the pulsating fear coursing through their veins. As the minutes ticked on, the strange sounds from the woods seemed to grow louder, more pronounced. A low growl here, a distant screech there. The woods were whispering secrets, tales of the night that the teenagers were not privy to. Each sound, each rustle of leaves, every shadow that moved, it all fed their growing apprehension. The campfire, their beacon of safety, was now a small island in a sea of darkness. The teenagers huddled closer, their laughter and bravado replaced by wide-eyed fear and hushed whispers. The once exciting adventure was turning into a night they hadn't bargained for. The wilderness, in all its untamed beauty, was revealing a side they had never anticipated. As the embers of the fire started to die, the first night at camp was drawing to a close. The darkness of the night was no longer an exciting mystery, but a shroud of unknown terrors. The first night ended, leaving behind whispers of fear and anticipation. The morning sun unveiled a new day, but with it came unsettling discoveries. As the first rays of light pierced through the dense thicket, the teenagers began to notice a disquieting stillness that hung in the air. It was a stillness that did not belong to the serene wilderness they had admired just a day ago. The first sign of trouble was their personal belongings. Items that had been tucked away securely in their tents were now missing. Backpacks, water bottles, even a cherished locket, all gone. It was as if an invisible hand had rifled through their belongings under the cover of darkness. Next came the signs of intrusion. Disturbing footprints too large to be any of theirs were found near the campfire, as if someone or something had been watching them. Broken twigs and crushed leaves led a path away from their campsite, disappearing into the ominous depths of the forest. The strange symbols etched onto the tree trunks added another layer of mystery. They were crude, yet purposeful, as if conveying a message only decipherable to the unknown intruder. The bark was scarred with these symbols, a blatant violation of the tranquility they had come to enjoy. The tension became palpable as the reality of their situation dawned on them. The comforting sounds of the forest now seemed menacing, and the play of shadows on the trees bore an eerie resemblance to lurking figures. The pleasant chirping of birds was replaced with an ominous silence, and an inexplicable chill ran down their spines. Was it just their imagination playing tricks on them? Or was there something more sinister at play? The once exciting adventure had now morphed into a nightmare, and the teenagers found themselves caught in the grip of an escalating fear. The wilderness, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, now seemed to close in on them. The towering trees, the rustling leaves, the whispering wind, everything seemed to echo their growing dread. The camp was no longer a retreat. It was a trap. As the second night descended, the truth started to reveal itself. The camp was not just an abandoned retreat. It was a forgotten theatre of past horrors. The seemingly innocent woodland clearing held a dark secret, one that was about to be unveiled. The camp's history, buried deep under the layers of time, began to resurface. It was a tale of a lost soul, a spirit that still lingered, bound to the place by a tragedy that had occurred many years ago. Beneath the canopy of ancient trees, the spectral figure roamed. It was no figment of the imagination, no product of overactive teenage minds. It was real. The spirit was a prisoner of its past, repeating the same haunting dance over and over again. It was the embodiment of the camp's haunted past, a chilling reminder of a life abruptly ended, a story left untold. The eerie events that the teenagers had been experiencing weren't mere coincidences. They were messages, desperate cries for help from the other side. The creaking branches, the whispering wind, the fleeting shadows, all signs of a presence, an entity that existed in a realm beyond human comprehension. As the realization hit them, a cold shiver ran down their spines. The fear that had been a mere flicker in their hearts now turned into a raging inferno. They were not alone, and the friendly confines of the camp had become a menacing trap. The woods, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, had transformed into an ominous labyrinth, concealing a mystery that was as fascinating as it was terrifying. The truth was out. The camp was haunted, not by a figment of fear, but by a restless spirit trapped between two worlds. A spirit that had a story to tell, a past to reveal, a mystery to unravel. The teenagers were no longer just campers. They were unwilling participants in a spectral play, caught in a web of fear and curiosity. They were not alone in these woods, and they were not welcome. The final night at the camp was a test of survival. A shroud of silence fell over the woods, punctuated only by the harrowing whispers of the ghostly presence. This was no longer just a camp. It was a haunting ground, a playground for the spirits that lurked in the shadows. The teenagers, once filled with youthful exuberance, were now mere shadows of their former selves. Their laughter had been replaced by hushed whispers, their smiles by looks of dread. The once comforting embrace of the woods had turned into a menacing labyrinth, each turn leading them deeper into the abyss of terror. The fear had reached its peak. It clung to them like a second skin, seeping into their bones. The ghostly apparitions, once dismissed as mere figments of their imagination, were now terrifyingly real. The camp had become a nightmare, the darkness a cloak for the unknown horrors that lurked just beyond their sight. Their struggle to survive the night was a desperate dance with death. Each creaking branch, each rustle in the undergrowth sent shivers down their spines. They clung to each other, their unity their only beacon of hope in the engulfing darkness. Escape, once a distant thought, had now become their singular focus. But how do you escape from a haunted camp that seemed to stretch into infinity, its paths looping back onto themselves, its exits disappearing into thin air? Their desperate attempts were met with dead ends, each failure amplifying the terror tenfold. As the hours ticked by, the haunting melodies of the woods merged with their racing heartbeats. Their breaths hitched, their eyes wide with terror. The spirits seemed to revel in their fear, their ghostly laughter echoing through the once serene camp. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it ended. As the dawn broke, the camp returned to its serene facade, holding the echoes of a night of terror. The shadows retreated, the spirits vanished, and the woods whispered their secrets to the breaking dawn. The chilling tale of a haunted camp was etched into the hearts of the survivors, a haunting reminder of a night they would never forget.